And we'll start. Okay, everybody, we have a very special guest today on my special series about Vancouver-based pop stars. Although my guest corrected me and said pop rock. Okay,
Pop
Avril,
rock.
calm down. But I have Matthew Presidente here, Matthew Presidente, not Matthew Presidente. That's the T. How are you,
That's the
Matt?
tea. Oh, it's so good to see you, Peter. I'm really great. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. So I was reading your website and I'm looking at your Zoom name. It's like Matty P and Matty Prez on your website. And then I just called you Matt, but your name is Matthew Presidente. So, bitch, what do we call you?
I like Matty P. You know
Matty
what?
P. Okay.
I've been rolling with it lately. It's just fun
Yeah,
and
yeah,
it's
yeah.
shorter.
We have some mutual friends who call you Matty when we were doing a show together in Kelowna. They're like,
Right.
Matty, Matty. And I'm like, oh, it's
Like,
cute. It's like Matty the Batty.
exactly. And it's like it's just a good social handle too.
Yeah.
It's yeah, I think it's easier to spell. I don't know. I'm not very good at spelling.
No, I like it. It's good. It has to be like that punchy, concise, not concise, but
Yeah.
you know what I mean. Matty P is good.
It's
So you,
easy.
Peter Breeze, listen, you know what I did? I have like a real job. I'm like, Hannah Montana, like real life, fantasy life. And for the first time, I always went by Peter Breeze for everything. Like normal professional and like creative professional. But now that I'm going to be releasing a song, I separated it and now I go by a different name professionally because I'm like, I'm not giving corporate America Peter Breeze. That's my
Well,
name.
exactly.
I'm going to give that to the club.
It's nice to keep those things kind of separate for sure. I mean, at this point, I don't have a real job anymore. I'm full-time musician, so we can just go by Matty P always.
That's amazing. I mean, that's one of the things I wanted to start off by saying is I admire how how committed you are to what you're doing and how long you've been doing it. I have known you for years. Like you were already doing music when I fucking dipped my toe into it. And seeing you in Kelowna last year, I'm like, damn, it's like, it's so impressive to see that consistency because that is not something I personally could do. I got like, I think that was partying, honestly, like the combo of partying and performing. But yeah, it's been so impressive to see you consistently do the damn thing for so many years.
That is so sweet. Thank you, Peter. Yeah, it's been a lot of years for sure, and it does take work to maintain that and keep it up. But I mean, all the partying and everything kind of goes hand in hand a bit with this lifestyle. Like you're out and about. I'm working late because I'm a singer, and I was working late last
Okay.
night and the night before, and it can be a little tiring, but after all these years, I'm really happy to be still doing it and still committed to it. And it's only really been in the last 3 years that I've been doing it full time completely. So it did take a long time to get there.
How there must have been times over the years. First of all, how long have you been doing music?
A long time.
Okay,
When
so let's just say a long time.
like 2010, 20
Okay.
something like that.
Okay, I started like a little around that time too. Okay.
No, I started like 10 years before that.
Okay, girl.
A
Okay.
long time
She's a
ago.
millennial.
She,
Gen Z? Anyway.
she's like a Gen
Um
X.
yeah, Gen X. Thanks. Yeah, I was gonna say Gen Z, but no, it's not. Okay, so that's like at least 20 years.
Yeah.
You must have had points at some time when you were like, I gotta just have a salary. I gotta just like be normal and not stay out till 4 in the morning or however late you stay up when you're doing gigs. So how did you get through those moments? Because I don't know. It was too hard.
No, it's that's a really fair question. And I did have a salary for a long time. I had a full-time professional career for many years, and through those years I balanced it and I still did music as much as I could. It was really the pandemic that changed things for me when I think we all kind of had like a fuck it, life's too short sort of moment in there. And after that I was like, hey, I have all the tools and I have all the connections. Like, why can't I make my own career out of this? So it was then that I started doing this full time. And believe me, Peter, there are moments, even yesterday, when I'm like, oh, this is like, I miss steady income. I miss, the benefits. I miss the regular routine of a job. But I don't know. I think it's also really nice to work for yourself.
I mean, yeah, it's like the dream. There's definitely a sacrifice when you make your passion your full-time job. When Lady Gaga won her Oscar, she was like, there is a discipline that comes with following your dreams and making them a reality. Like, looking back for me being so motivated by fame, it really distorts what you're trying to perfect. Like, what is the skill set you want to be a master in? If it's causing a scene, then that's fine. But like that is not sustainable forever, especially like going back to the parting. But if you want to be a artist, I mean, I would argue that fame is an art, but
Absolutely.
you need to have that foundation of art and creativity. And when you're stressed out about money, like you just said, or like staying out later, the regular routine, if you don't have that foundation, then I think that's when it can be a little bit crazy.
No, you're absolutely right. And so is Gaga. Like it takes work. There's nobody there if you want to call in sick for your job. There's nobody who's going to cover for you. And there's nobody who's going to keep you on track with the schedule. And it's work. I play a lot on the weekends, for example, and during the week, I think there's this perception like that I just have all this free time. It's like, how do you think I get these gigs? And how do you think I am maintaining, social media presence, applying for, you know, events and
Yeah.
funding and all this stuff? Like it's a full-time job still. So yes, it's a lot of work during the week, and you have to really be disciplined um to keep it up.
To keep it
Although
going.
I have to say, you being motivated by fame was always very charming. I think it was sort of a fake it till you make it kind of thing. You're like, I'm Peter and I'm famous, and you just sort of are. It just happens.
It's like the one consistent thing in my life is this innate belief that I'm a star that I do not remember not having ever since I was a child. My mom can validate this if she ever comes on my podcast. And I think being a millennial, it was really complimentary to that because we had Paris, all these
Yeah.
celebrities that are just famous for being famous. But then you know what else is like Britney, who's my diva. There was
Mhm.
so much criticism of her not being able to sing.
Right.
And I was never like insanely confident with the way that I sang. And I think having her as like a role model almost was like, you don't singing doesn't need to be the number one thing. Like there needs to be something else about you that can keep people interested. That's what came naturally to me. But I think like to keep things sustained and to sell tickets to a show and to have a long lasting career, again, there has to be a foundation of art because you can't just cause a scene forever and ever, amen. Like even Paris Hilton became a DJ.
Right. Fair enough. But I mean, one thing you, Paris, Brittany all have in common is personality. And that's something too. You're right. There does need to be a foundation of art, but in this case, especially going through that time when it was a little bit before like social media, but it was
Mhm.
the early stages of people just people were interested in like what they were doing, and it
Yeah.
wasn't necessarily because of their art. Um, and I do think whether you're doing music or whether you're just a personality, whatever it is, it still takes work and effort to build that foundation.
So much work. Like momentum is everything. And I think you're in such a great spot. I mean, from the outside, I don't know like what's going on in that head of yours, but you just came back from a tour when we were setting up this interview. You were like touring
Yeah.
around BC, and I think you had a show last night. So one thing, one of the reasons why I'm reaching out to musicians in my orbit is to understand like the reality of being a working queer musician in Vancouver in BC. I say pop star because I feel like a lot of musicians out there who are doing pop just identify as a pop star. Like, I don't know. They're just like, I am a pop star, and I get it. But does that resonate with you? Like, do you consider yourself a pop star, a pop rock star, or whatever?
It's tough. To be honest, I have a hard time sometimes defining my genre. I think I'm a pop star maybe in the way Elton John would be considered a pop
Mhm.
star
Hmm.
because I do play an instrument. I play more rock music, but it it leans to the popular
Yeah.
side.
Yeah.
Yeah, not like a heavy metal or like anything too wild. I try to make it palpable.
I mean, you do wear that mesh shirt, baby.
Oh yeah, you
I
you
love that. That's
thank you so
good.
much. I need to get into my summer bod before I whip out the mesh shirt again this year, but it's coming soon.
We're
I've
waiting.
got
We're
a
waiting.
week.
We're ready and waiting. So talk to me about like the tours, booking shows. What's that like? Because at one point, musicians were not like the go-to booking for clubs. And I know that you do a lot of shows at Numbers and Junction. Um, so when you're booking your shows and you talk about like making these connections, you've done this over decades, you know people in BC. So I imagine that booking these tours is not easy, but you know who to reach out to and you're like, okay, May, I'm gonna do a BC tour. What kind of venues do you go for? What kind of show? Like, how would you describe your show? What's it like to be on the road? Talk to me about all
Yeah,
that.
yeah. No, really good question. Um, like I said, booking gigs is very time consuming. It's part of the work you have to put in through the weekdays and through your downtime. And I find these days I have to create my own opportunities a little bit.
Okay.
I play a lot of unconventional venues. Numbers is a perfect example. It's not a place that regularly features live music, but we do it there because we've created something a bit unique. And, that's pretty cool. But it's tough. I think I mean, I don't want to sound jaded or nasty about anyone, but there's a lot of gatekeeping in Vancouver. There's a lot of venues that are very cool and they stick to I'm not going to mention any
I
names.
was like, name them, bitch, name
Yeah, yeah.
them.
No, there's a few where I'm like, they're tough to get into, but it's requires some persistence. The squeaky wheel, as my mom always says.
Hmm.
Like, my mom always says, "Oh, I'm gonna reach out to the venues. I'm gonna be like Lady Gaga and say, 'Oh, Matthew's in town. He's the hottest act. You need to get him.'" It's so cute.
She
Mama jerk.
should.
She totally should. But when you're looking into like a tour or something like that, I had a really hard time, to be honest. I spent months planning a May BC tour, and it it mostly fell through, to be honest. Like I'm sitting here this week without any gigs because I couldn't do the whole thing. So we planned the island, and then we kind of planned the end of the month, but everything in between was really challenging because to make it make sense financially, we had to be playing like pretty much every night because you can't drive out to Calgary and then sit there for a week before you
Yeah.
go to Kelowna, right?
Oh my God.
And then I'm finding this time of year, you're reaching out blind to venues and cities that you're not as familiar with, and they're not as familiar with you. So it requires a bit of a sales pitch, and there was definitely some interest, but I just had a really hard time connecting all the dots, and unfortunately, I had to make the decision to kind of cancel the middle of it. So we had a really nice little island tour, and that was good. And we'll do Kelowna at the end of the month, but mid-month kind of fell apart. So that's the reality. It's expensive and hard to do that kind of stuff, and it has to make sense. And even though, my vanity wants to still go on the tour and say, "Oh, I'm going," but really, when you're paying $300 a night for hotels and making 50 bucks for the gig, it doesn't make sense.
Listen, when I was booking gigs, I was the Canadian agent for RuPaul's Drag Race Girls
Okay.
for a while, okay?
Yeah.
And that opportunity kind of fell in my lap because I had been in the club for so long. And Brooklyn Heights manager Steve Neville, you probably know, he used
Yeah.
to run one of the bars. And
Yeah.
Tommy, like there was this was all kind of orbiting around me, and I ended up doing the Canadian bookings, and I was so excited because famous people, entertainment. I'm like, this is my tea. And at the time, I
Yeah.
had no interest in performing again. And I learned so much about these tours. And the main thing is this: it doesn't matter if you're famous or you're on TV. Sometimes people don't fucking come to shows.
Yeah.
Sometimes tours get canceled. And when you are an average person watching a TV show or listening to a musician, one of your favorite indie artists, you see their post that they're going to be at a festival or that they're going on tour, and you just imagine full rooms, everybody's singing. Maybe they're imagining you making a lot of money. But the truth is, it doesn't matter what level you're at. tickets are hard to sell, and even more so, I assume, as a gay man, and even more so when you're not like Sabrina Carpenter or
Mhm.
Chapel Roan. Like it is such a chasm of difference between the reality or not. And I don't know if that makes you feel better, but for me, I was like, oh my God, like I'm not going to name names. A lot of tours were canceled, and I'm like, okay, listen, I don't know why I'm scared to perform at friggin' 1181 if these people have tours booked that are being canceled, honey.
Well, it's true. The reality is, like you said, it's tough to get people out to the gigs. And yeah, you might have your Calgary show on Friday night. That's going to be great. But what about Invermere on the Tuesday?
Oh
Like,
my God.
you think like, oh, I'm going to show up in town and everyone's going to go crazy. But really, it's midweek. They got shit to do.
Yeah.
So they're not coming to the show.
Yeah. How do you stay? I mean, I don't know if you experience this, but like when you're walking away from a tour and you're like, damn, that's not what I thought. What goes on in your brain? And how do you find the motivation to try and book another tour and whenever you're going to do that?
Um, Good question. I try really hard to be realistic about it. And I think part of that comes from doing music as a full-time career. I have to think of it as a business. So I do my best to not take it personally.
Mhm.
I'm like, okay, this is again a business decision, which is why I didn't go to Calgary and that little part of the tour. I just had to say, no, it doesn't make sense financially. And then you look at it and say, okay, what do I do next time? Maybe this isn't the time of year to do it, or maybe I have to
Mm.
look at some different venues or a different tour path or something like that. So,
Yeah.
I learned quite a lot in the process of booking it, and the island went really well, and we made some really great connections with venues over there. And I also made good connections with the venues that I didn't wind up booking because a lot of research, finding the right people to connect to, and those are venues that hopefully will play in the future. So
Do you feel like your sexuality is a part of how you pitch yourself to venues who don't know who you are?
definitely, I do. I've always considered myself a queer theme artist, and people ask me, what does that mean? And I started to think about it, and really for me, it just means like the type of music that I play, and more the content of the music that I play comes from my own experience. So it it's personal. I'm a singer-songwriter, so it comes from being a gay man, and so the music kind of carries those themes. And when
Yeah.
I do covers and piano bars and stuff, I do a lot of music that inspires our community. We do Britney, we do Whitney, we do Cher, like
Yeah.
Madonna, all this stuff. And so I'm definitely pitching that to venues. I think it's something that makes me stand out a bit and it makes it unique. I compare myself a lot to Elton John when I'm coming up to new venues because even though it's not really the style of music I play, it's something that people understand. They're like
Right.
flashy, gay, piano guy.
Yeah. 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 What Britney songs do you cover?
Oh my God. So for the 25th anniversary of Oops, I Did It Again, I've just recently started doing Oops, I Did It Again and Lucky because
Oh,
we needed to do like stuff from that album. But I
oh,
also do Hit Me Baby One More Time.
oh my
And
God.
every time.
Every time. I
Yeah.
need to see Oops, 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 I Did It Again tattooed on my arm.
Oh, that's
It's
so
like,
good.
yeah, my that's one of my favorite Britney songs. Classic Britney.
Oh, it's so
Okay, so
good.
sexuality is a part of how you pitch yourself. You mentioned Invermere. So do you ever feel like, I mean, listen, it's 2025. I would say that as gay men, especially, not everybody in our community, but I feel like gay men, we're in a pretty nice position, privileged. The doors have generally been open. There's
Mhm.
definitely more opportunities for people like us. Do you still feel sometimes that they're like, don't want the gay?
Yeah, I have come across that, and I sometimes wonder if nobody's ever come and said it out loud, like this is why we do not want you to
Oh,
perform. But sometimes I wonder if some of the opportunities I'm not getting could be could have to do with that. But I can't worry too much about it, right?
no,
Like you're never gonna know why you do or don't get a gig or an opportunity. But if I were gonna go to Invermere and they're like, nah, it could be the time of year,
it
or
could
it
be
could be
anything.
that it's just that venue I'm pitching to, they might just say, "Hey, this is not really our thing."
Yeah.
That's fair.
No, it's not.
You know, I mean, I think it's fair in the sense that if people aren't going to come out and enjoy it, it's probably better for all of us, right?
Yeah.
Now, I we're using Invermere as an example, but I should say that they were quite lovely, and we were going to do a show there, but I'm
We
the
love
one who
Invermere.
canceled it. So,
Love
yeah.
to Invermere. I'll be there soon, Invermere.
Oh,
Catch me
sweet.
outside. I don't know.
Yeah.
You released an album earlier this year, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
You're
Okay.
right.
I would love to hear about what your songwriting process is because I am a poet. That's my contribution to my music. I don't play instruments. But that's something I've been really passionate about. I love words. I love like coming up with concepts. But I worked with Michael Gordon. I don't know
Yep.
if you, okay.
Yeah, I
You
know
know
him
him? Yeah.
very well.
So it
Yeah.
was, I loved sitting with him and like, talking about ideas and I was just on the piano and things like really organically come together. It made me jealous that I never started to play an instrument and I know that I still can. So please calm down, people who are going to start commenting. But tell me about your songwriting process.
Absolutely. Before I do, I have a question for you. Like, I think your songs, especially from the Bonnie and Clyde album, are like so melodic. Like, I know you come from a pop angle, but there's so many beautiful melodies. Are these songs that you like, did you write the melodies? Are they something you came up with in your head and then brought it to the other songwriters to work with?
So for that specific album, there was a mixed bag. So Disco Mama, I wrote in my head as I
Yeah.
was walking down the street. It just sort of like came to me and I
Hmm.
knew it was rappy. I came up with the melody in my head and Michael, I mean, that night we probably got fucked up and he
Yeah.
worked it out. LA, I wrote that poem about Lindsay Lohan and at the same time at different parts of the city, he wrote the melody. At that time, Michael and I were inseparable. So things were kind of happening in tandem. But in terms of me coming up with actual melodies, Disco Mama for sure, New York Fashion Week, and the rest was like you're sitting beside each other. So my brain doesn't always go to music though. It's like I see a look, I see a video, I see an idea, and then it's like the words.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I mean that's great, and that's why you collaborate with people, and
exactly.
you all bring something to the table. Um, the reason I ask is I write like that quite often. Like sometimes I'll get a hook in my head, and for example, my one song that the one I did with Samantha Mack, who is icon legend.
What? You did
I
a song with Samantha Mack?
yeah, she does a rap on it, and it's fucking
What? She was
awesome.
just in Eminem's music video.
I know. I'm like, it's my claim to fame. No, she's fabulous. And we did this song together, but I had the hook in my head for like 2 years. Like I had this na 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 na. And I knew the chord progression. I knew it was gonna like stick on one chord as the verse switched over, which is a bit of unique instead of doing a loop. And I just had no words to it, and I didn't really have anything else but this hook that I knew exactly how it was going to sound. And then when I kind of conceptualized the song, I'm like, this is where we're putting that hook. And so sometimes they just sort of come like that. Because I do find for me, songwriting, I'm prolific in the sense that I've written a lot of songs, but I don't write that often. You see a lot of,
Oh,
yeah, a lot of musicians and artists will write daily or weekly or constantly be trying to make songs and then massage them or develop them over time. I kind of like write a batch and then I play for a while. So I'm right now in the touring and playing mode. I
yeah.
haven't been writing lately, but like the new songs from my album came over the course of a couple years. And
Okay.
there's only 10 of them. And
Wow.
yeah, so
Interesting.
it took a long time. My guitar player Brad is really funny. Like we came back from the pandemic and performed a new song on stage. It's like, yeah, some people had kids. You wrote one song.
That's
Hey,
okay.
it's a
Do
good
you
one.
do you write about like the same themes or like is there something you always come back to? Like for me, fame,
Yeah.
celebrity, fucking I can't shake it. Nothing will ever. So is there
Yeah.
something for you that you kind of lean into?
No, I love that. I mean, I love um your whole aesthetic and it ties in nicely with the music. For me, it's like I think I usually pick a theme for every sort of record or
Okay.
song cycle I'm doing. Like the most recent one is definitely like I think they're my best songs, and it's by far my best album and nicely recorded and everything. But the songs are a little more serious. They're a little more introspective, nostalgic. They did come out of the pandemic. I don't want
Mhm.
to call it like a pandemic record, but I was thinking a lot about family, my family tree, my history, and our community roots as queer people. So at the same time, I was going through a lot of change and leaving my job. So
Yeah.
that was a big influence on the album. It was about kind of leaving a career that you really liked and you really cared about, but to invest in your own path and your own journey. And so I think it's an empowering record in that way. So that's sort of the theme of these songs, but it's nothing I've really written about in the past. I had a whole record we wrote about leather and motorcycles. So yeah,
Honey.
I'm with you on the fame thing.
Yes, honey. You can't shake it. I love hearing about how people write songs and it comes in so many different ways. And you have to live to write about something. And I think this is what happens with people who have a lot of commercial success and their early work is really focused on like, or maybe not focused on, but the desperation and hunger for success really comes through. And
Yeah.
then you sort of level out and you maintain whatever kind of commercial success it is. And then it like the work becomes less potent almost because there's less struggle and you kind of need struggle to make that like intense art. I mean, Adele says when she's happy she doesn't write and everybody's like, please God, go through a breakup. Oh my God.
Right.
um
Well, like look at like some of our great like singer-songwriters in the 90s, like Tori, Bjork, PJ Harvey, like as they got older and had happy lives, music was not quite as exciting.
exactly.
Like
And
we
people
look at
don't
the
realize
chaos.
too is like sometimes songs just land on you or like fall into your lap. Like Mariah wrote the Christmas thing in like 20 minutes, and Taylor
Mhm.
Swift has a lot of stories about that. And I think when pe regular people hear that, I mean regular people who aren't doing music, they think it's like magic, or they're like, "Oh my God, she's like the most amazing songwriter." But the truth
Yeah.
is, you open your mind to that and you start, you know, leaning into what being creative is and what it means to like open yourself up to that. It does happen to anybody. You know, you
Totally.
just move towards creativity and you open yourself up to that. And I think it's an important thing to think about is like you don't have to be a seasoned musician to be creative.
No, exactly. And it's all about creativity. Like when you say, "Oh, I don't think about the song, I think about the look, the whole um, vision of it." That's that's part of the songwriting process. You're
Yeah.
creating something, and really, writing a song really only takes as long as the song is, 3 minutes or whatever,
Yeah.
because most people don't sit there and write for 6 hours and cross things out and try them again. I mean, there's only seven chords. Like you get a hook, you're like, oh, this is it. And then you kind of go from there. But really, like, good for you, Mariah, 20 minutes, but
Yeah.
could have done it in three and a half.
Well, and you know what, honey. And you know what else is crazy is like there are so many talented people who write amazing songs that never have that kind of success. And it's just a product of being in that world. Well, I remember when American Idol first started, all my fucking references are so mainstream, it's so embarrassing.
I love it.
Um, but like you hear people and you're like, how is that person with that voice living in the middle of Kentucky? And we're just living our lives listening to, you know, I don't know who, somebody on the radio that is maybe minimally talented, but right place, right time kind of thing.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. Looking back at that time, like the early to mid 2000s, American Idol, Britney, all this stuff, like look at the artists that
Hmm.
came out of that. Like we have Kelly Clarkson, who's like amazing and all the
Yeah.
cool stuff she's done. Like, I don't know. I think at the time it seemed kind of mainstream and silly, but I don't know.
It is. I mean, it's the zeitgeist. I mean, it is what it is. That's where we grew up. And yeah, it's that's the stamp of culture that we were a part of. Who inspires you? And like if you're talking about the pop girlies, you mentioned Madonna, Cher, Britney that you do covers, but like, if you were to pick one of them, even of the ones you didn't mention that you could be like front row, peak of their career, who would you choose?
Celine Dion. Mhm.
She's one of the people who said it doesn't matter if you write songs as long as it's good, actually.
Totally. And she isn't known for being a songwriter anyways. She chooses her songs, and I think there's a creativity to that too. She chooses really good songs, and
Yeah.
she picks something that speaks to her and something that she can do in her voice, and it's going to make sense. I am inspired by her, always have been. Like obviously I don't have a voice like this, and I don't even really play that style of music, but it's just her theatrics, her stage presence. She's such a character, and she's funny, and she'll sing beautiful, serious songs, but she also has a sense of humor, and I like that about her. I think she's legend.
There's something about the women who sing the heartfelt ballads, and they're also so funny on stage.
Yeah,
It's
like
like they're
Adele.
balancing out the heartache with like
Yeah,
the humor.
exactly.
But Celine is so good at being friggin' weird, but authentic and so charming at the same time. So I get that. I mean, I used to listen to oh my God, Up Close and Personal. What is it? Up Close. Oh my God, what is it called? Ah,
Um, Through all the time
times you
stood by
stood by
me,
me.
it's called Because You Love Me.
Because You Love Me. Listening to that whenever it came out, Little Boy in Calgary, full
Mm,
blast, trying so hard to sound like Celine Dion. And that's before you really know that some people can sing and some people can sing like Celine Dion. Um,
exactly.
I want to hear about the closing of the Odyssey because you said you had a story about us. But before we do, and I know we only have 4 minutes and 55 seconds left, is there a vision for Matty P, like the ultimate goal that you're moving towards?
You know, Peter, it's changed over the years. We talk about like wanting fame and being obsessed with it. And I think you and I were different on that, but not that much because when I played music as a younger person, like, yes, I wanted to be like on the big stages. I wanted to do that. Now, as I've grown up and I've started to make music a career, my goal is to make it sustainable. Like,
Uh,
honestly, like I just want to be able to make a living doing what I do best and what I love to do and not have another job on the side. And for me, that is success because
100%
yeah,
that's success. Holy moly, that's success. I love it. I mean, you are living it already. Like, you have to take the
yeah,
plunge,
yeah.
and until you're homeless, baby, unhoused.
Totally unhoused. Yeah.
Yeah.
At this point, we're still making it work, but you know, that can be a struggle and it's definitely a hustle, as you know, being an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
And um, I know you've dabbled in different careers over your time. You worked in entertainment as well, and
Yeah.
it's hard.
It's
It's not something that's steady. It's not something that's predictable. So
it takes your soul, baby. Like you gotta make some deals in the back. Like, I don't know, but even like the people top of their game, the sanity, like the sacrifice, the soul-sucking nature of making yourself a product and
Mhm.
and selling yourself over and over and over again is
Yeah,
not for the faint of heart. And then even again, like I mentioned, you get to this perceived level of success, and it's just another kind of hustle, baby. It's never
exactly.
relaxed. You are never relaxed for the
Exactly.
rest of time.
No, you're totally right on that. And it can be tricky, but it's rewarding too.
You're
It's all
doing it. You're doing it. Okay. Tell me.
Odyssey.
Tell
So
me.
we I remember very clearly when you released your album, when you had a album launch party at the Odyssey, which was really cool. Talk about creating your own opportunities. The Odyssey was not a place for live music, but you did it there, and we were all really excited. We worked around the corner, me and my friends, and we were all like, "We're going to Peter's album launch tonight after work," and we all showed up, and it was fun. But you had like a robot theme or something.
Send in the robots. Yeah.
And then robots, right? So we didn't have like costumes because we were all at work, but we worked at a restaurant. So we just got a giant roll of tin foil and like all just wrapped in it and
Oh,
made like really terrible robot costumes and came to your record release. And it was a lot of fun.
oh my God.
Loved it.
I mean, I'm not surprised I don't remember that because it was all a beautiful blur back then.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, moments like that, I have to look back. I've been reposting old performances, like getting ready for my new song to come out. And
Yeah.
it's like talking to people like you is proof that it happened because I meet new people in my life and they're talking about their 20s and I'm like, I don't even know where to begin because you wouldn't believe me if I friggin' told you. But it's so good. This is like you mentioned like queer elders or like our heritage where we come from and a lot of it is self-made like we need to find and people like you and I we've known each other for years, right? We don't see or talk to each other every day, but there's roots and history and
Yeah.
we need to like be a witness to each other because when we go
Yes.
across the Rainbow Bridge, baby, somebody's got to be like, he was a star.
And I love it. I love that, there's a mutual respect, there's a support, and because we've been both been doing it a long time in one way, shape, or form, it's it's really cool to be able to see you and like talk about these things now.
Yes,
And you had that fabulous song, buy me a drink, go to my place, my place. And after your record release, I wrote a new song called For You to Be Mine, and there's a line in it that says, if I'm buying you a drink, you better buckle up, twink.
baby. I
That was
made it. Like,
yeah.
that's it. I made it. Matty P, thank you so much for being here. The Zoom will end, but it will not end in my heart.
Me
And
too.
I'll
I'm so
message you
good to talk.
soon and we'll hang out. Well, maybe we'll write a
Let's do a
song
show
together.
together. Yeah, a song, show. I'd love it.
It's happening.
Have a good
Okay.
day. You.
Thank you for being here. I'll talk to you soon.
Thank you.
Bye.